All right, so most of us think we know the story of Holi, right? Good triumphs over evil, a demon king gets what's coming to him, and we celebrate with a whole lot of color. But what if I told you that story is just the surface level? That hidden inside this festival are secrets of cosmic curses, impossible riddles, and a twist so big it changes absolutely everything? I know, it sounds like a wild idea, but this one question, it flips the entire narrative on its head. We're about to explore the forgotten story behind the festival, a tale that's way more complex and, honestly, way more mysterious than you ever imagined. So to really understand the villain, Hiranyakashipu, we have to go back, way, way back, before he was a demon king. Because, get this, he wasn't a demon at all. He was something else entirely, a divine servant in the highest court of the heavens. Yeah, check this out. The souls who would eventually become the great demons Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu were originally Jaya and Vijaya. And these weren't just any guys. They were the most loyal, devoted gatekeepers of Lord Vishnu himself, literally guarding the entrance to his divine realm. So the big question is, how do you go from guarding heaven to becoming its greatest enemy? Well, it all came down to arrogance. See, one day, 4 ancient sages, the Sanat Kumaras, came to visit Vishnu. But they looked like small children, and Jaya and Vijaya, full of pride, refused to let them pass. For that single insult, the sages laid down a heavy curse. You're cast out of heaven, and you'll be reborn on earth as enemies of the very God you serve. But this is where the story takes a huge twist. Vishnu gave his beloved gatekeepers a choice. Be born 7 times as my devotees, or 3 times as my greatest enemies. And I'll personally defeat you to bring you home faster. They chose the faster path. So every time Vishnu strikes them down, it isn't punishment, it's salvation. It's a cosmic reset button to bring his servants one step closer to home. Now, reborn as Hiranyakashipu and absolutely furious with his fate, he decides to fight back. He wants revenge against Vishnu. And to get it, he undertakes years of extreme penance, intense meditation and discipline to gain a power from the gods that would make him, for all intents and purposes, immortal. He was smart, though. He knew he couldn't just ask for true immortality, so he did something much, much cleverer. He designed a series of conditions so specific, so all-encompassing, that he believed he had created a perfect, unbreakable shield against death. And just look at how thorough he is. He covered every single possibility he could think of. No person, no animal, no time of day, no location, no weapon. It was the seemingly perfect, logical trap that made him believe he was totally invincible. He even declared himself the one true God. But there was one thing he never, ever accounted for. The ultimate rebellion wasn't going to come from the heavens or from other kings. Nope. It came from right inside his own home. His son, Prahlad, flat out refused to worship him. Instead, the boy was completely and utterly devoted to Vishnu. As you can imagine, this infuriated Hiranyakashipu. He decided his own son, this little symbol of defiance, had to die. But what happens next is just miraculous. The king's infinite power goes up against a child's unshakable faith, and the results are pretty stunning. Hiranyakashipu tried literally everything. He had Prahlad thrown off a cliff. Vishnu cushioned his fall. He was tossed in a river. He was pushed safely to shore. Poison turned to sweet milk in his mouth. A rampaging elephant was sent to crush him. The elephant just bowed instead. Every single attempt failed, and failed spectacularly. Totally desperate now, Hiranyakashipu turns to his sister, Holika. Now, she had a special boon, a magical cloak that made her immune to fire. The plan was simple and brutal. She would sit in a raging bonfire with Prahlad in her lap. She would be protected, and the boy would be burned. It seemed like the perfect, inescapable trap. But a really strange thing happened in that fire. The flames that were supposed to kill Prahlad turned on Holika instead. Her cloak, her protection, just failed. And in her last moments, she realized her power was tied to righteousness. The second she used it for an evil act, to harm an innocent child, the boon reversed itself. Evil's own power turned against it. And Prahlad? He walked out of the fire completely unharmed. Prahlad surviving the fire pushes Hiranyakashipu right over the edge. This leads to the final brilliant confrontation. Enraged, he storms up to Prahlad and mockingly asks if his god, Vishnu, is in the very pillar of the throne room. And Prahlad just calmly says, yes, He is everywhere. So Hiranyakashipu smashes the pillar with his mace, challenging Vishnu to show himself. And from that shattered stone emerges a form never seen before or since, Narasimha, a being that is half man and half lion, a terrifying, magnificent paradox. And this is where we see the absolute cosmic genius of the solution. Every single one of Hiranyakashipu's carefully constructed conditions was met with a perfect, elegant loophole. Narasimha was neither man nor beast. He appeared at twilight, which is neither day nor night. He attacked on the threshold of a doorway, neither indoors nor out. He placed the demon king on his lap, not on land, air, or water. And finally, he used his own claws, which aren't considered a weapon. The impossible riddle was solved. The end was brutal, no doubt. But what seemed like a simple act of cosmic justice was actually something far more profound. It was the final chapter in a story that began lifetimes ago. And this is the final hidden truth of the story. Narasimha's strike wasn't just about killing a tyrant. It was the final, merciful act needed to shatter the curse that bound the soul of Vijaya, Vishnu's own gatekeeper, to that demonic form. With his death, the soul of Hiranyakashipu was purified. The pride, the anger, the hatred, it was all burned away. His spirit was finally free to ascend and return home, resuming his post as Vijaya, the eternal servant of Vishnu. The villain's long, dark journey was finally over. And this just reframes the entire story of Holi, doesn't it? It's not just about good versus evil. It's about redemption. It's about a painful, violent, and necessary path home. It leaves us with a fascinating question to chew on. Can the most destructive act imaginable also be an expression of ultimate compassion?